Hello fellow lore keepers and welcome to my channel. Today we're discussing the new Elden Ring trailer for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Just like everyone else, I'm very excited and trying to make sense of this trailer. I'm going to go ahead and be upfront with you all and tell you that I have absolutely no clue what's going on, and this video will be full of nothing but theories. With that being said, I'm very excited about all the new lore we're going to get, and I'll definitely revisit this trailer in the future to see if some of our theories are right. First, I would love to start by talking about this initial scene at the start of the trailer. We see a person who I initially thought was Miquella. After looking a bit harder, I believe this may be Queen Marika. It certainly looks like her, but what is she doing? And where is she? We see this scene of her in a dark land, what I presume to be some sort of shadow land that's separate from the lands between. I say this because we see a golden world on the other side of these two massive walls of bodies. Is this some kind of gateway to the lands between as we know it? Also, what is Marika doing? It looks like she's binding the two walls of flesh together, almost as if she's closing them. The position she's in looks like the Elden Ring symbol and possibly the crescent that she's been crucified in inside of the Erdtree. Is Marika creating the Erdtree? I'll return to this line of thinking later on, because some things later on in the trailer makes me think that this is the crucible that we're looking at, and that she's binding it with gold and is closing off this realm from the lands between to usher in the Golden Order. The narrator says Miquella the Kind spoke of the beginning, the seduction and the betrayal. I think Miquella possibly knows the truth of the beginning and how the Erdtree came to be and everything Marika did. Maybe when they say the seduction and betrayal that they're speaking of Marika, who did she seduce and betray? Maybe the people who are living in the Shadow Realm? Is that who she betrayed? It would make sense if her binding this gate together and closing off the people of this realm to the lands between is the betrayal. We know Marika is basically a vessel for the greater will and does its bidding. Did she bind this land so that she can take it over for the greater will? I could be wrong, but what if what we're looking at is in fact the Crucible? We know the Crucible predates the Erdtree and is considered divine by its inhabitants. Maybe the betrayal is Marika closing these people off into the Shadow Realm, or whatever this Night Realm is. Again, I'm not sure. This is a bit of guesswork, but in my head it makes sense. With that in mind, I think I may be right, because moving to the next part of the video, we see Messmer from the previous trailer waging war on this city in the Shadow Realm. I believe Messmer is a child of Marika, since we know he's an Empyrean and he says mother in the previous DLC trailer. This devastation on this city is horrendous. Honestly, I wouldn't even call this like a war, it looks more like a slaughter or a fiery purge. Who or what is he fighting? It looks like a city, so where there's a city, there's citizenry. Is this the Shadow Realm that I think Marika closed off? This can also be part of the betrayal mentioned earlier. Not only do I believe that she betrayed these people, but she also sent her son to destroy its inhabitants, since they could be a potential threat to the greater will and Golden Order. Interestingly, the narrator says what followed was a war unseen, a war that can never be put to song. This is directly following whatever ritual Marika was doing at the beginning of the trailer. I interpret that this is a secret that Marika doesn't want out. This purge is something that stains the legacy of the Golden Order and Marika herself. Until this trailer, we had no clue something like this even happened. I think this may also be the truth that Miquella wants us to know about. On the staircase, we see a figure that looks like they have omen horns. We know omen horns are a sign of primordial beings blessed by the Crucible, which predates the Erdtree. Wings, tails, and horns, most of all, are signs of divinity for the people that worship the Crucible. In the lands between, we know omens are seen as cursed abominations under the Golden Order, because the Greater Will and by proxy Queen Marika see them as a threat and want all traces of it gone. Are we witnessing the massacre of people who are a part of the Crucible's lands and culture? To me, that's what it looks like. Again, I could be way off base, but everything I'm saying just makes so much sense in my head. And we see omen horns on this being clearly, a clear sign of the Crucible's influence. Queen Marika is making Messmer destroy this land and its denizens since she sees them as a threat, like I mentioned earlier, and she wants it done under the table without the knowledge of what's happening getting out. Next, we see this lion beast with horns and other animalistic parts attack Messmer, most likely in defense of his city, and Messmer impales them. Another example of why I think this is more of a purge than a war. In the next scene, it says Miquella abandoned everything, including his golden flesh, his strength, and his fate. I believe when they say his strength, they mean his divine power. I think Miquella is trying to show his followers the truth of what happened and how the Erdtree came to be, and that we, the Tarnished, will become one of his followers. We'll possibly even see why he took on his persona as Saint Trina and the mission they had while traveling the lands under that name. We see all these warriors slash followers of Miquella, and the narrator asks, "Will you walk with us?" This makes me believe that Miquella asked them to tell us about their mission and possibly get us a join. Like I said earlier, in the video, I believe Miquella knows the truth and wants us to know what really happened as far as how the Erdtree came to be, what happened to Messmer, and in the process we'll learn more about the Crucible and the Shadow Realm. Speaking of Messmer again, how have we not even heard a single word of him in the base game? I believe he's an Empyrean and one of Marika's children, but when was he born? He has to be the first child of Marika, even before she had her two Omen children with Godfrey. We know that Empyreans can be born of a single god, so maybe he's the first child of Marika and Radigan? Or just Marika herself? I'm not quite sure. But speaking of Omen children, we know Moog and Morgoth are the children between Marika and Godfrey. And she cast them out since they both resembled omens and locked them away deep under Lanedale. Did she lock them away because they are reminders of her dirty little secret that she had the Crucible's denizens slaughtered in secret? And seeing these two omen children that she birthed was evidence of her transgressions and against the people that she purged and banished to the Shadow Realm? That's what I think. Her children coming out both as omens is a clear sign of the Crucible's influence, and she's trying to keep her reputation. That's what I'm guessing, and again hide her secret of what she did, because at this point I believe she believes she got away scot-free, that everything that happened is now under the rug and no one knows about it. But here we go, these two omen children, clear signs of the Crucible's influence that she can't hide, even though she tried as hard as possible. Another thing that I would like to add, I do believe that Marika also sealed Messmer in the Shadowland. The reason I come to this conclusion is because, like I said, her taking over the Crucible and basically purging its inhabitants, this is a stain on her legacy and the Golden Order and the Greater Will. And news of this getting out could have dire ramifications in the future. So I believe in an effort to cover up everything, she also sealed Messmer and his army inside of this Shadowland. That could also possibly explain how we've never heard of him, like and never seen any sight of him or any clues, anything of that nature, at least not to my knowledge. I watched a lot of lore videos and a lot of videos and people just coming up with theories and talking, and I've never heard anyone bring up a lost child of Marika, which means for the most part this was fully covered up. All of these events were fully covered up. So how did Miquella come to know about these events? I believe he knows. We haven't had a solid confirmation that he knows about everything, but I personally believe that Miquella knows what happened, and he's basically showing us what happened and letting us see the truth. I think that's going to be partially about what this DLC is going to be about. Sorry if I went on a little bit of a tangent, but I'm so excited and I can't wait to find out what this DLC reveals. Marika has lots of secrets, lots and lots of secrets between the Crucible, this massacre, how the Erdtree came to be, how she got involved with the Greater Will. It's just a lot, but I do believe we'll get the answers that we seek. And I believe we'll learn about Miquella in the process. There's so much we don't know about Miquella. And I would really love to know how he found out all this information. He seems to be, as of right now, this moment, he seems to be the only demigod that actually knows all of this happened outside of Marika. So, yes, I'm very excited and I want to learn about what's going on. I would love to hear your thoughts and theories about this DLC and anything that I discussed. Do you think I'm right or am I way off track? Feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I will definitely see you all in the future, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much.